Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we are going to be looking at Professor Jiang. I don't know how to say his last name. Professor Jiang's video breakdown of why Dubai will never recover, why it is over for Dubai. He claims Dubai is dead. Okay, there is a war going on. Okay, in the Middle East, America has declared war on Iran. Alongside Israel. Dubai, which was once seen as a safe haven, as a place for the ultra wealthy to live a life of luxury, for people to be safe, multiple times. How many times have you heard that Dubai is one of the safest places on earth? It was a facade, it was a mirage, and it has been shattered, okay, by the airstrikes from Iran onto Dubai. Okay, and people who are living out in Dubai, if they are reporting on this, they are getting thrown in jail, they are getting fined, because Dubai is trying to control the narrative of what is going on there. My personal story with Dubai is or this current conflict. My parents were actually supposed to go fly out to Dubai. Okay, my mother had many friends who kept telling her, oh, Dubai is lovely, it's so lovely out there, so nice. It's one of the safest places on earth. You can walk around there in the middle of the night, nothing's going to happen to you. It is so safe, it's so safe, it's so lovely, so lovely. And my mum bought into the hype, and she was like, oh, I really want to visit Dubai. Okay, I want to see the architecture, I want to see this jewel in the desert, as they call it, to check out what all the fuss is about. Okay, and literally on the day that she was supposed to fly out, the day before, sorry, she got a text message saying that her flight is cancelled and that they're going to rearrange. And then we look on the news as it's unfolding. It's like that airstrikes, drone strikes are being hit in Dubai, that debris is falling everywhere on people out on the road. And as we got closer to the rearranged time, that flight got cancelled as well. And then in the end, the whole thing just got cancelled. So her trip was ruined by the war. But I guess it could have been worse. She could have been out there, stuck out there while she was on holiday. How many people, as many people have, trapped out there during this time of crisis, where many people are not really, don't even know what is going on, what the real narrative is, because the Dubai media, the Dubai authorities, the Dubai state is controlling the narrative, not allowing the real issues, the real problems, the real casualties. The figures are not being leaked to the media, because they are still trying to maintain this image of how safe it is, how everything is going well. And you have people like Andrew Tate, twerking for Dubai, saying how great it is, because he wants his golden visa, because he wants to escape the issues that he has elsewhere in the world, and he wants to just basically just live it up in Dubai and be safe out there. However, that story doesn't add up anymore. It looks like it has all fallen to pieces. Let's dive into this. Let's see what is going on with Dr. Jiang.
Next, I want to show you this. This is Dubai, and Dubai is considered one of the wealthiest, safest cities in the world. There are thousands, tens of thousands of Westerners who move to Dubai because it's clean, you don't pay any taxes, you make a lot of money. And
yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning it was zero tax that you used to pay, but now I think they added a 10% tax, corporation tax, because it is ever growing. More and more people are trying to come and take advantage of this, so they have to maintain numbers. Okay, they need to keep up that status, and they have services to pay for. So even as what Dubai was now, it wasn't what it used to be 10 years ago. So it's slowly changing.
There are great restaurants, and this is really the economic model of Dubai.
Yeah, the economic model was that it was literally a safe haven for influencers. Okay, everything that you wanted, a life of luxury. The most beautiful women went to Dubai. Okay, because it was a very safe country. Great shopping, right? Great dining, right? You had the beaches, you had the weather all year round. Great skyline. It was an influencer's heaven, right? But like, are they going to go back now? Okay, it was I think it was like something like 80-90%, all foreigners living in Dubai, right? Like they are not going to return into a potential war zone, right? Because literally it happened overnight. There was no signs of this happening. It literally just came out nowhere. Many people were left blindsided, and now they are reconsidering their options.
On the Gulf, the GCC countries, okay, the Gulf coastal countries, and for the longest time, Dubai had a really good deal because they were under the protection of the American military. So they didn't have to pay for defense. And then they were in the Middle East, which is the oil producing center of the world. And so they focus on aviation, they focus on logistics, they focus on finance, on tourism. They became extremely wealthy, right? I'm not sure if you've taken Emirates, one of the best airlines in the world. So their airport, Dubai Airport, is the busiest in the world. And Dubai, for the longest time, was flourishing under American protection.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did you hear it? Like that Dubai is the best place to live, the safest place to live. How many times did you hear it online? People leaving their country saying, "I'm going to go move to Dubai." Okay, like I remember, like even during the whole Andrew Tate blow up, like he used to scream about how great Dubai was, right? And then you saw a lot of his followers, a lot of his like literally I remember one time like a 13, 14-year-old kid online being like, yeah, I'm gonna become a millionaire and I'm gonna move to Dubai, right? That was his whole angle that he was taking on. Okay, he was painting out that the West is over, that the West is shit, and that Dubai is this safe haven. Okay, well, I'm here to tell you that everything's fucking going to shit, okay? That this is the end of times that we are looking at, okay? The end of the world, right? And the thing that you have to do is you have to create your own, your own kingdom, your own slice of heaven on earth, right? You have to buy your own private island and strategically place it, away from conflict like this, okay? Like a lot of these wars are going to happen around, between China and Taiwan. Between Russia and its neighboring European countries, with America basically against the world, and possibly Mexico can get dragged into this. So you want to be in a country where it is safe from these issues, okay? Countries that are not really taking part in any of these problems, okay? So you need to find a private island. You need to buy your own land away from these strategically placed issues. And that is how you will stay safe.
And Dubai said to the world, listen, we're like Switzerland. We're neutral. We don't want any involvement in any wars. We're here just to take care of our citizens, to make sure everyone has a good time, to make money. And then
you can't be neutral, okay? Because if you're neutral, you're literally just saying like, "Oh, please don't pick on me, okay? I've got no skin in the game, right?" And if you find someone more powerful, if you find like a country like Iran who's got nothing to lose at this point, okay, like the whole world seems like it's against them, right? The whole Western world, at least. They've got nothing to lose, right? They might as well just fucking throw shit everywhere. Okay, so if you're saying that you're a neutral country, you're not involved in this, right? You're the perfect target for them, okay? Because they're going to make you make a decision, all right? You have no army of your own, right? And you are protected by the American government. Well, the American government is against Iran, so of course they're going to fucking throw stones at the UAE, Qatar, all the Bahrain, all these neighboring countries. Because it's trying to instigate you into making a move, into switching alliances, into like, why did you choose to fraternize with the enemy? Okay, like we're supposed to be a Muslim brotherhood over here, and you're literally like against the enemy because in Iran especially, I think every Friday the Ayatollah, during Friday prayers they will scream death to America, right? Like it was the whole narrative within Iran was that America is this great big enemy, and now that they're attacking, because Israel decided to wage war on Iran, and America has to support Israel because of probably because of Epstein, right? Because of the honeypot that he ran, right? He's now pulling in all these fucking resources that Jeffrey Epstein established, right? This is how Jeffrey Epstein is the Rosetta Stone of conspiracies, okay? Because he is the crossroads. He is like amalgamation of where every other conspiracy derives from, okay? Like if you look at Hollywood is run by pedophiles and the Illuminati, okay? Like, and then Jeffrey Epstein's involved, right? The Pizzagate scandal, Jeffrey Epstein's involved, right? You look at Israel secretly, Jews secretly run the world. Jeffrey Epstein's involved. Okay, so he is really at the crossroads of every great conspiracy. His name is involved. Okay, he is the key to understanding world events right now. And why is America getting dragged into a war with Israel? Why does America protect Israel so much? Okay, because you know Jeffrey Epstein, who was a Mossad agent, right, working on behalf of Israel, right, ran this massive, honeypot operation, okay, where he was literally, you know, blackmailing high officials in America, celebrities in America, right, politicians all across the world, people in science, faculties, CEOs of companies, right, to gain, for him to gain influence over these people, so that they do dance to his tune, so that he can control the narrative, right? And now you're seeing, right, what Israel is calling in all those chips, right? So this is all connected. You need to wake up and see what the fuck is going on.
Right after the war started, the Iranians attacked the GCC, okay? Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, they attacked these places. And these places were like, what's going on? We're neutral, man. We're not involved in...
Imagine that. Imagine like if you're fighting for your life, right? And saying that you're neutral, if you don't stand for nothing in this world, right? If you are a neutral, um participant, right? Like, it is a sign of weakness. Okay, like Israel gets away with it. Oh, we're neutral, right? So Israel, I said, I mean Switzerland gets away with it because they do a lot of the world banking. A lot of that money laundering happens through Switzerland. That is what they are doing. That is why they remain neutral. And a lot of time they get away with it because both sides of all countries kind of launder their money through Switzerland. Okay, Swiss banking secrecy is like protected by law, right? And many people just allow it because when you're part of the elites, that is why the World Economic Forum have their secret meetings, their yearly annual conference at Davos, which is located a small town, a small ski resort in Switzerland, right? That is why it has this impartiality. Okay, with Dubai, it's just a sign of weakness, right? They really should have prepared for it. They needed its own army military to protect itself from this type of shit. Okay, because now it will be many. The only way that Dubai can recover is if Iran is literally destroyed, the whole regime over there is toppled, taken apart, because as long as Iran has its nukes, right, it now will always be seen as a threat, and many people will never recover. They will never go back, okay, because it has lost its mirage.
In this war. And the airport was shut down in Dubai. At one point, the rich people in Dubai were willing to pay about $250,000 US dollars just to get on a plane and get...
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, your life is in danger. Shit is hitting the fan. You don't know what is going on. Are they going to launch missiles, right? Because Dubai, right, it is actually quite small. It's a very compact, urban, like city. Everything's vertical. Okay, you have these huge skyscrapers everywhere. It's a very, very small city. Okay, when you really look at it. Okay, so, and a lot of the time when people move over there, when they're staying there, when they're on holiday there, they're staying in these massive skyscrapers. Okay, well, I mean, what the Burj Khalifa is the biggest building in the world, right? That's probably the first target that's going to be a hit. Okay, so now going forward, when you are moving to these countries, and you think, oh look, I'm going to live in the biggest tower in the world, you're going to reconsider, because that is probably the most likely place that will be hit by a drone. Okay, so you have to factor in your safety. Do you want to exchange saving some money in taxation for risking your life by moving to these places?
Get out of there. Okay? So the reality is this. For the longest time, Dubai had a reputation for being safe, and that's why people moved their money there. Guess what, guys?
It took years to build this reputation, by the way. Okay, like, before, like, I think if you Google pictures from 1980s in Dubai, and now it's like it literally was just a desert. Okay, it was a desert with a few fucking buildings, a few houses, right? It was mainly like an import. It was mainly a port for, importing goods. Goods would travel through there, right? It was very tiny, okay, in scale, right? And then it decided to build this massive infrastructure, right, of residential areas, okay, of offices, to try and make this, the future of the world, right? And it took so much money to do this, right? Like, even like the whole Dubai airline, you know, Fly Emirates, right? They spent so much money to build this number one airline in the world, right? Because the plan is that when you fly Emirates, the Emirates airline, right, every connecting flight is in Dubai, so they're kind of encouraging you to, okay, look, you're gonna land here, you might as well spend 1 or 2 days in Dubai and go on holiday here, right? So they were always trying to curate everything around, being this tourist destination for people, okay, like the Vegas in in the Middle East, right? Like, it was this main attraction, right? And they spent 20 years, they paid influencers, right? They garnered this massive great reputation, and it was finally paying off. It was finally paying off, okay, when COVID hit. You really, people fled over there, right, saying that, America's going to shit, the UK is going to shit, we're going to move to Dubai, we're going to live out here, free taxation, you live a great lifestyle, you got the sunshine, all throughout the year, everything's great, it's the safest place in the world, it's the safest place in the world, right? And overnight, over one weekend, right, just a couple missiles, right, from a crazy, scared, fearful Iran, right, has shattered that image, okay, and it will never recover, right? Even neighboring countries, because Qatar was trying to now, Abu Dhabi was trying to rival Dubai, to be a new alternative, right? To trying to gain some of that tourism as well, okay, to try and build its economy, right? So it'd be less reliant on oil, basically. Even that, now you're going to look at the whole region. You're like, no, fuck that. I'm not going over there. Okay, it will never recover. The whole region will never recover in terms of like mass tourism. Okay, even Saudi Arabia, right? Like, I think Saudi Arabia hasn't, Iran hasn't attacked Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia has, much more resources, a larger military. I think it's got one of the largest militaries in the world, right? Because it has bought so much ammunition, and artillery from America itself. And because it's so closely linked to the petrodollar, that hasn't been as affected yet. Okay, so Saudi Arabia still remains relatively safe, but just the image of that whole region has just been destroyed, and I think Saudi Arabia will also suffer. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, he fled. He's contractually obligated to play for, pardon me, Al Nasir, I believe, is the football team, and he's supposed to play there, right? And he, as soon as the war started, he got in his private jet and he was like, "Fuck this," and went back to Portugal, right? Because he does not want to be involved. He is, he's got the funds to fucking do it as well. Do you go? I mean, he can just travel. You'd be like, "Yeah, fuck that. I don't have to play over here. I can do what the fuck I want. I need to get out. I need to get my family into safety." Would he want to go back even after the war? He might go back for like 6 months, until his contract runs out, and then he'll just be like, "Fuck this! I'm going to America now." Okay, it is a concerning, issue for that region of the world. Real estate prices have plummeted. It seems like it is over for that region.
Guys, after what the Iranians did, it's dead. Dubai as a city, in the long term, it is dead. Because you're a wealthy Westerner, you're not going to move to a place where it could be attacked anytime by the Iranians.
Yeah, I mean, it's just out in the open, in the desert. There's no mountains surrounding it, okay? It's by the coast, right? It's got no protection, okay? The reason why Iran is so difficult to control is because it's surrounded by mountains, okay? It's got very natural, great protection around it, which is why it has, not been conquered, why it is now, able to be isolated from the rest of the world and still flourish, okay, because it's got that natural protection. It is many people are saying that, that Iran will be the next Vietnam now, that this is going to be a forever war for America, that they're not going to be able to win. It's going to be dragged out, and it's going to really hurt America, unless they can come up with some type of agreement, some peace negotiation, because the situation right now is fucked, okay, and it's affecting the rest of the world, okay, because the Straits, Hormuz, is being blocked right now. You can't, import, export oil anymore. So, oil prices around the world are going up. Everything is out of control right now. Many people are worried about the future, the situation that we're fighting in, and we need to find a solution soon, or we'll all be fucked.
You might move to Singapore, you might move to Hong Kong, Japan, South America, but you're not moving to Dubai, okay? So the big question for us is, why do the Iranians do this? It was the Israelis and Americans who attacked you, why go after the GCC, right? And not only that, but they're escalating the attacks against the GCC. So this is something that we will look at very closely today. Well, the short answer is because these places, even though they pretend to be neutral, they house the American military. They allow the Israelis and the Americans to use their airspace to attack.
So it's very strategic. It is very calculated what they're doing. They're trying to instigate into them basically shutting down the space that the Americans can use. Okay, think about it. Like Dubai, the whole economy is crashing there right now. Okay, in the United Arab Emirates, and if you have, if you allow America to have a military base there, okay, and use its airspace, right? Like, what's more worth it to you? Your image across the world, okay, or the fact that you can have America on your soil? Because being allied with America didn't help them in being attacked, right? So they're going to really question what they are doing, and it could be a case where China comes along, okay, and be like, look, America failed to protect you, right? Allow us to have our air bases here. And this could be a gateway for China to get a foothold in the Middle East, okay? Because right now, Saudi Arabia is a lot allied with, has this allegiance with, the United States, because, its oil is tied to the petrodollar. America's agreed to buy this much oil from them as long as they, buy, as long as they sell their, but as long as they take their American dollars and they trade to the world in, US dollars, right? So that is the petrodollar system that that Saudi Arabia is under, and most of the Gulf states as well. This might be an opportunity for China to come along and be like, look, we're going to offer you a better service, right? We'll buy your oil, right? But you're going to have to do it in, Chinese yen, right? Okay. You're going to have to use our currency, okay? We're going to protect you. If fucking Iran ever touches you again, right, we'll nuke them, right, into oblivion, right? This is a way for China to get a strong point in the Middle East, to build bases for them to usher in, their new dominance over the rest of the world.
Iran from. All right, so this is Bahrain. Now, Bahrain is interesting, okay? Because I want you guys to remember this, but Bahrain will probably be one.
Bahrain, it's such a small country, right? But my father actually, he worked in Bahrain for a year. Like he grew up in India, and then he went to Bahrain for a year. And then he basically went from Bahrain to Germany, where he lived for 25, 30 years. And even me, like, I was born in England, but like I lived in Germany for about 10 years of my life. Like, my whole childhood was spent there. So my dad's told me about Bahrain, about how he lived there, how it used to be there. And obviously it's much more different now, but it is a concerning time of events.
One of the major centers of this conflict, because first of all, this is the American Fifth Fleet. All right, this is their naval base in the Middle East, and as you can see, the Iranians are attacking it with missiles, and it's being blown up. Bahrain is interesting because it has about 50% or even more, okay, Shia, which is the religion of the Iranians.
So, but basically, Iranians are Shia Muslims, whereas Saudi Arabia, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, they're majority Sunni Muslims, right? And there is basically what it is it's like in Christianity you have Catholics and you have Protestants, right? It's just a different doctrine of the same religion, a different interpretation of it, right? And they then adhere to different rules. Okay, for example, in Catholicism, you know, divorce was really frowned upon, which is why kind of in England the Church of England came about because Henry V wanted to divorce his wife, right? So it is a Sunni and Shia Muslim is just a different interpretation of the Quran, a different doctrine, a different different rules. They see the world a little bit different, but they're both still Muslim, but they practice their religion in different ways, right? And with Iran being Shia and 50% of Bahrain being Shia, it is very easy to convince them to join forces with them, for them to come under the umbrella of Iran, for them to be practicing the same religion.
But the people in charge are the Sunnis.
Yeah, so the people underneath, like, they're Shia, but the royals in Bahrain, they are Sunni, right? Sunni Muslim. And maybe it's time, they'll be like, we'll stop bombing you, because they got a gun to their head right now. Okay, so they're like, look, we'll stop bombing you if you fucking start following our doctrine of the religion. Okay, you still be Muslim, but instead of being Sunni, you'll be now Shia.
And so what makes this strike really important from our perspective is, first of all, not only are the Iranians attacking US military assets, not only are they destroying the economies of the GCC, but they're also trying to ignite a religious war, right? Because you're Shia, you're loyal to the Ayatollah. And if he's dead, then you must, as a religious obligation, now commit jihad against your enemies.
And that is the thing about Muslims, right? Like, they are so indoctrinated into their religion that they're willing to die for their religion, which is what a jihad is. A jihad is a religious war that they wage, right, on their enemies. And because they are so indoctrinated, because they're willing to sacrifice themselves. Okay, that is why you have suicide bombers. That is why you had allegedly, 9/11 attacks, these suicide bombers who are willing to sacrifice themselves, because in their religion they're promised, if you become a martyr for your religion, right? If you do, crush your enemies, if you help perpetuate the war on behalf of your religion against your enemies, that you will be rewarded in heaven, right? And then you're like, look, man, here on earth my life is shit. Okay, I live in poverty, but in heaven, if I do this great deed, if I hurt my enemies, right? And they truly believe that the Americas, that the Sunnis, the Sunni Muslims are their enemies right now, because they're siding with America. So they are willing to hurt these people because they believe in the great good, that when they go to heaven, they'll live a life of luxury, they'll be treated like kings, and they'll get 72 virgins. Okay, and then if you're fucking sexless, if you have nothing going on for yourself here on earth right now, you're thinking, yeah, fuck it, I'll just blow myself up, and then life's gonna be fucking chill. I live an eternity of pleasure and happiness.
And it's no different in other religions where, listen, if you want to kill the Pope, the Catholics would be really angry at you and they would want to kill you, right? So now you have the Shia who will probably eventually arise, creating a revolution in Bahrain, okay? So I think Bahrain will be the first to fall. Dubai will probably go bankrupt, okay? But in the long term, we can expect the entire GCC area, including Saudi Arabia, to eventually collapse, okay? And so this is something we'll use game theory to understand. All right, let's continue. So we will know how this war develops just based on geography, okay? So this is a map. And this map, even if you don't really know the war, even if you don't know the participants, even if you don't know the weaponry, this map will tell you exactly how this war will progress.
Yeah, basically because the terrain, right, is mountainous. Okay, the terrain is very difficult to breach. It's hard to take military tanks take people up there, right? Like it's not like a flat surface where you can just land and then you can spread out and build your defenses. It's like no, everything's mountainous. There's ridges everywhere, and if you're not part of that area, you don't really know the area. Okay, you don't know the terrain, right? Which is why and you as an attacker, as an America's doing the attack, they have to go now invade into that place, whereas the people who are part of that, the Iranians, they are sitting at the top of the mountain, shooting downwards. Okay, so they have also a better view of their enemy. They know better what is going on around them, and which is why most likely they are well placed to drag this war out.
All right, so some certain things to keep in mind about this map. This is what we call this area, okay, really small, it's 33 kilometers wide, okay? People can swim across it. It's really, really narrow, okay? This small area, guys, it's called the Strait of Hormuz, all right? And it's important because it's really the center of the world. This one area is the nexus, the pivot of the world. Let me explain why. First of all, from the GCC, you have 20% of all the world's oil flowing through this narrow strait.
Yeah, so and then when you have this war, which literally stops 20% of the world oil traveling around the globe, okay, it is going to impact oil prices around the world. It is going to impact transportation costs, cargo, flowing around the world, import, export goods, which is why you will see these costs being passed down to you as a consumer. Okay, you might be sitting there, in America somewhere, right? You might be in California chilling, right? You might be in Texas just chilling. You might be somewhere in Europe thinking like, oh, I'm so far away from those, I will not be impacted. Okay, but it will impact you because of the increase in prices we're already living through a cost of living crisis, and this is just going to further perpetuate increase costs to you. You're going to feel it in your wallet, okay, which is why you need to protect yourself, which is why you need to become somebody who is able to be anti-fragile in a sense. Okay, when shit like this happens, you've got enough money to not worry about the consequences, the impact that it has on you.
Where does it go, guys? It goes to Asia, India, Pakistan, South Korea, China.
Yeah, and think about all this, this added pressure on America now to resolve this, because the rest of the world be like, look, man, fucking sort it out, okay? Right? When you have big economies like India and China, turn around to you, be like, look, man, fucking sort it out because you're fucking our shit up over here, right? They're gonna get pissed at them, right? It literally, look, if you've got a squabble with somebody down the road, you do you, right? But now if that fucking noise, right? If you're fucking, if you're throwing shit at each other and it's impacting me, right? And not only just me, right? Financially, you're fucking me over, right? Like you are going to feel a lot of pressure from all sides. It is already a nonsense that this war has created.
Japan. India depends on 60% of its oil from this area.
Yeah, so 60%. So India is about to suffer a major increase in production prices, sorry. And you already have so many people living in poverty, right? When these people, and when people already live in poverty, they're on the edge. They're already at breaking point. Okay, so this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? And then you're gonna see an uprising. The people of India will put pressure on the Indian government, and then the Indian government be like, look, it's not our fault, okay? And then they're going to turn around and they're going to look at America, be like, America, fucking sort your shit out, okay? Because if you don't, then we're not going to do business with you. We're not going to export goods to you. You can't do any fucking manufacturing here. And then they'll turn and make allies with other people, okay? That is how the world works.
China depends on 40%. Japan, 75%. Prime Minister Takeichi of Japan has said that, listen, if the Strait of Hormuz closes, we will run out of oil in about 8-9 months. The entire Japanese economy would collapse in
8-9 months. Okay, so this war started in at the end of February. Okay, right. I mean, it was the last weekend of February, I think it started, right? So we're already 2 weeks in. by the end of the year, like if this war carries on past fucking June, July, right, we're gonna have serious issues on our hands, okay? Because, like you said, by October, November time, the Japanese economy will be at a standstill, okay? And then will the Japanese economy support America? Like you're gonna have all these nations turning on America, turning on Trump, right? What the fuck is he gonna do? He's going to have to either, take the defeat, take the loss, okay, or he's going to go all in. He's going to go turn worse, probably, okay. He is going to make decisions out of character. He is going to, you know, he's going to turn into a Putin, right? Because when you fuck with someone's reputation, when you fuck with someone's, when you push them into a corner, right? They're a scared dog being pushed into a corner. They're going to fucking come out and attack. They're going to try and bite you, okay? Because that is what you are dealing with, right? You are dealing with people's reputations and their status in the world.
9 months, if the Strait of Hormuz were to close. And guess what? The Iranians have closed the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? So we can expect that the entire global economy will suffer greatly over the next few months. All right, so that's point number one. Point number two is, okay, so the GCC sends oil across the Strait of Hormuz, and what do they get back in return? Food, guys.
Yeah, so now, right, it's not just about oil, okay? It's not just about production. It's about actual food being transported all across the globe, right? And you're going to see massive uprisings because, food's going to start getting expensive, okay? It's going to happen very, very slowly. What's going to happen is, like, slowly, you're going to see food prices increase, okay? And you're like, wherever you're paying for fucking, let's, for example, you're paying like $2 for bananas, okay? Now it's $3. Okay, a minor inconvenience. You're gonna have to fork over an extra dollar. Okay, but this is on every food item. Okay, and you're buying like 30-40 items of food a week. Okay, now you're forking over 20-30-$40 extra, a week on food. Okay, great, whatever, you deal with that. Okay, but then less food is coming in. Okay, you're gonna see supply chains really disrupted. Okay, sooner or later that food won't be available on shelves anymore. Okay, because the food isn't being able to to be transported across the globe, right? And it's just rotting away at ports, right? Because it can't find its way to throughout the supply chain. And then that food is going to have to be thrown away, right? Now there is a decrease in supply, which is going to be a supply shock, which will raise prices even more. Okay. And then, if things get really fucked up, it can lead to a crisis of, a hunger crisis. Okay. And then, you think shit's been bad so far. When people can't eat, when people can't feed their families, you see the real dark side of humanity. Okay. They will come and they will fucking do whatever it takes to ensure the survival of the family so that they can feed their kids, right? And things will get dark very, very quickly.
People don't appreciate the GCC, but it is really the linchpin of the American empire. Because what is the American empire? The American empire is the petrodollar. All right? The idea of the petrodollar.
Yeah, I mean, all these, Saudi Arabia, all these Gulf states, they're princes, they're royalty, they have their own houses, they live like kings, okay? They live a great life of luxury, but they are just puppets for the Americans, okay? They are just puppets, because America allows them to exist, right? Because they just, as long as they do what the fuck America wants them to do, right? They are cushy. There's a look, right? Your people will be good. You'll be good. You get to live. You and your family get to live a life of luxury, right? The royal houses, the House of Saud, the kings, the king of the United Arab Emirates. They get to live like kings. Okay, they'll be the decision makers, right? But they are just a middle management. Okay, but they get paid very, very wealthy, and that is the sacrifice that they have made. That is the deal with the devil that they have made, so that they can enjoy a great life, a life of luxury, a life of status and power and influence, as long as they do what the Americans want them to do. Okay, but now shit is going wrong. Okay, because America wants them to do one thing, right? But the Iranians are like, no, we're not playing this game anymore, okay? Because if you fucking, if you're going to side with America, we're going to treat you like an extension of America and we'll bomb the fuck out of you, okay? That is what is happening right now.
What is this? The US dollar is worth nothing, It's only valuable if people want it. But the GCC says that if you want oil from us, you have to pay us in US dollars. Okay? Then that is the basis of the value of the US dollar. So, if the GCC collapses, the American economy and the American empire both collapse at the same time. The problem, though, is the GCC isn't.
This is a real danger for America, okay? Like, because America didn't want to be dragged into this war. This is a war, started by Israel, okay? The Israeli, because the Israelis are blaming Iran for funding Palestine and Hezbollah for attacking and launching attacks onto Israel, okay? And Hamas, the Iranians are funding these terrorist groups, okay, these Palestinian terrorist groups, and then in return, Israelis are decimating, right, just Palestinian civilians, okay, for the last 2 years. It was October 7th, 2023, I believe, 2024 when it started, 24, I think it was, and you're really seeing these people, decimate this whole land, and now, the Israelis, because they kind of want the war to end, because Israelis' public image is really taking a hit. They are now trying to stop the funding of these terrorist organizations of Hamas, of Hezbollah, and they went after Iran. Okay, now Israel isn't strong enough to go after Iran itself, which is why it now had to drag America into it. Okay, this is a war that America didn't want, but America had no choice. Okay, and if you want to see the ties between Israel and America, really how deep it goes, okay, you just really have to look at Donald Trump, the president of America, who is voted in to protect the interests of Americans. His son-in-law is Jared Kushner, who has massive Israeli ties, okay, who is basically an extension of Israel, an asset of Israel, who directly, has the ear of the president of the United States, right? So he's been known that he is a Israeli agent, Israeli asset, okay. And if you look at all over the American political landscape, there was all these ways that Israelis, American Jews, who also have dual citizenship and allegiances to Israel, okay, the motherland, right, that they have these ties, okay, and they're now interwebbed into each other's affairs. And then if you have a guy like Epstein, who apparently, Trump was best friends with Epstein, who has been compromised by Epstein, right, that they have evidence on him that he was doing, that he's got evidence to blackmail him, okay. Maybe, the Israeli government, ran this massive honeypot operation in order to do an event like this, okay. So now that they can pull in all the resources, because Israel has America by the balls, right, and America's going to do whatever whatever the Israelis say, okay. And now that they are pointing all the guns towards Iran, and this might be a war that they lose. The Americans don't want to be part of it, okay, but Israel, doesn't give them a choice, okay. And this can be really, really detrimental to America's place in the world, to America being the superpower and having control over the world.
Artificial construct of empire. It does not exist naturally. Why? Because there's no food, there's no oil, no water. Okay, guys? No food, no water. So these cities are able to grow in the millions because of all these petrodollars flowing in. If you close off the Strait of Hormuz, there's no food coming in, right? They're all going to starve. How much food does the GCC get from overseas? 80%. 80%.
I mean, 8% of his food comes from overseas, right? So you're now blocking the Strait of Hormuz, right? And it's gonna be, very, very quickly, right? Like, I mean, perishable goods, things like fruit, things like vegetables, things like meat that's being imported in and out. Yeah, I mean, unless they're freezing it right now, okay, like, it is just gone. Okay, so really, if this war drags out longer than a month, okay, you're gonna see real painful effects, right, on the people living in these countries, okay, the people within the United Arab Emirates, the people in Dubai, okay, and Dubai already doesn't have the best reputation for for human rights, okay, the way that the humans are treated, the workers are treated, overseas workers are treated. And I'm talking about white Europeans. I'm talking about like black people. I'm talking about like Indians. I'm talking about Bangladeshi people that they import to come work there, do the low skilled labor jobs. Okay, they are going to really suffer, because they're already living in squalor. They're already living in a type of modern slavery, right? So this war is really going to hurt a lot of people. Is really going to expose the underbelly that Dubai has, that the underbelly that is Dubai is run on. Okay, because right, I mean, earlier he said that the rich are paying like, was it like $300,000 to get out of Dubai? That's how much they're paying for private jets and flights to get out. Okay, if you're a poor person, you make barely $30,000, right? If that, what's going to happen to you? Okay, I watched a video the other day of how these influencers are leaving their pets out in Dubai. Okay, they're leaving their cats, they're leaving their dogs, right? They are escaping, right, with all their belongings. Okay, they're escaping with their families, their loved ones. Okay, but they're leaving their fucking pets. Okay, what type of person leaves a fucking dog alone, right? In the middle of the desert, by the way, in a country that has, 80% of its food supply cut off. Okay, those dogs are gonna turn, wild. Okay, they are going to start attacking people because it's going to be a dire situation. And imagine in that heat as well. Okay, it is a bad place to be. It is a sad state of events.
Of all the food it consumes comes from overseas, that it imports. It doesn't grow by itself, it imports.
Yeah, because it's in the fucking desert. Okay, there is no way that Dubai will ever be able to self-sustain itself. Okay, it relies heavily on imports from around the world, right? And if it can't import those things, things fall apart quickly. Okay, this is not like you know a country where it has its own fields, lush fields, with its own farmland that can sustain a country like a city like Dubai. Okay, this is everything's reliant on overseas. It is a fake country. Okay, it is fake. It was always perceived as a very shallow and like a very materialistic type of place. Okay, but now you even seeing that materialism is built upon mirages and fake promises, and he's right, it will never ever recover.
So the Strait of Hormuz is really key, and again the Iranians will close it in order to strangle the global economy and therefore bankrupt the American empire. All right. Second thing you will notice is these mountains. These mountains is what we call Iran. All right, this is Iran. This is GCC. Okay, this is not a fair matchup, right? Because these are mountains.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, like the Iranian Peninsula, it is so mountainous, right? You can hide behind shit. You can hide. You've got all these fucking, nooks and crannies where you can hide, where you can, strategically place bases. You can always move around because the terrain. Whereas like the GCC countries, okay, the Gulf countries, right, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, right, they are living just on a flat desert. Okay, it is literally like they're just waiting to be picked off. Right, they have not helped themselves. They have not strategically placed themselves in a great place. This is why they will not recover. This is why it is the end of those countries.
And what can you do in mountains? Well, you can hide rocket bases. You can hide drone bases. You can hide missiles. And that's the entire Iranian offensive strategy. All right? From here, they can hide missiles and drones from which to attack the GCC. And what are they attacking? They're attacking three things, right? They're attacking American military bases. That's number one. Okay? Is it possible for the American...
I mean, they're attacking military bases, so, to, disable any attacks that, that can come from that side, basically. So they're strategically, it's a defensive move to attack those places because, the more you attack those military bases, the less chance that they have to, to consolidate and, plan up a attack onto Iran. Okay, so that is why that they're taking it. This is a defensive strategy that they're using.
Defend against these attacks? The answer is no. It's not. It's the silliest thing in the world. You have all these bases in the Middle East, but you cannot defend them against the Iranians. That's kind of strange.
Yeah, I mean, these countries will really, question, their alliance with America, the fact that they allowed America to build these military bases, okay, which will then, you know, like if you think about it, that these countries hired American military, the American military, to be its security, okay. Now, imagine if you are a important person, a VIP, and you hire security, but they fail to protect you against, right, against you know people, okay, whoever is against people who are trying to take pictures with you, whatever, right? um what are you gonna do? Okay, your bodyguard doesn't do his fucking job, you're gonna fire him and hire a new one. Okay, who do you hire, right? If America is seen as the most powerful country in the world, but they can't protect you, right? Are they really that powerful? Then you're going to question it. Okay, who's the next most powerful? Is it Russia? Okay, they're busy with their war in Ukraine. Okay, it's going to be China. Okay, they are going to win massively from this. The world allegiances and strategic relationships will shift because of this war.
Okay, but that's number one. Number two is oil and energy. How hard is it to blow up an oil field with a drone? Not hard.
Yeah, I mean, you fucking throw one missile at it, okay? If that catches fire, boom, okay? It is going to be fucking raining fireballs, okay? Right? And once that shit blows up, once that shit gets on fire, that you can't just fucking call the fire brigades to come shut it down, okay? That shit is going to spread. It's going to continuously fucking, be set alight. Okay, and the more oil you burn, okay, the more oil Iran burns, right, by blowing up these fucking oil fields, um, the less money they make. So now you're hurting them in their wallet. Okay, this is definitely offensive. This is what they're doing to secure their position in the Middle East. This is what the best. The best defense is offense. Okay, the best defense is attack. This is the strategy that Iranians have implemented. This is how they are planning to win the war.
Not at all. Can you defend these oil fields? No, you cannot. All right. Number three, and this is most important, is water. You guys don't know this, but the GCC has little access to fresh water.
So again, it is importing fucking water, right? So, and then if these people can't fucking get access, right, their supply of fresh water back into these countries, okay, a lot of these people are going to suffer. They're going to be dehydrated, okay? Water becomes scarce. This is a huge problem, especially if you're in the fucking desert, right? This is terrible planning, because you were sold this lie of safety to go over there and live in these countries. Okay, you were sold this lie of glamour, and it was all based on these false pretenses. Okay, and all it took, right, was for fucking Israel to decide to start this war, right, with to pull America into it, and now you have all this external fallout, right? And I mean, we're not going to go into this today, right? But why is Israel doing this? Okay, what is this secret allegiance that it has to really cause havoc and chaos? Okay, a lot of it is because they truly believe that they are the chosen people, that the Illuminati is an Israeli organization, a Jewish organization, for them to become the ultimate rulers of the earth, that they are the chosen people, and that they're waging war against their greatest enemies to be the to build greater Israel, which is to expand the current Israeli territory outwards, all these Muslim countries that are surrounded by it, to overtake them and build the next temple, the great temple for the Jewish religion.
So the only way that it can produce water is what we call desalination plants, okay? These factories that take salt water and then through an electrochemical process turn it into fresh water for the population to use. 60% of the water supply in the GCC comes from desalination plants, okay? 60%. Is it hard to blow up a desalination plant using a drone?
Yeah, so already by fucking blowing up these these distilleries, basically, where they produce drinkable water, like, you blow that up, you really fuck that country up. Okay, so they're attacking its protection in the US military. You're attacking its oil, which is how it makes money. Okay, so you're hitting its wallet, you're attacking its protection, its wallet, and then the water, basic survival. Okay, you're attacking its basic survival necessities, right? And then naturally the food will just shut down anyway because 80% of food is imported from across the globe. This is a really, really tough time. Okay, it's gonna be a fucking tough sell. I want to see the real estate agent that comes along and tries to sell you a Dubai condo now, right? Oh yeah, we've got this luxury apartment, in the Bugatti building, right? Like, oh yeah, wouldn't you want to fucking live in the Burj Khalifa? Like, what, after all this fucking negative news that you've just received? Okay, even if this war finishes tomorrow, it's gonna be a tough task. All right, it's gonna be a tough sell. I want to see those negotiations. Okay, I want to see the people who invested heavily, how they are going to recover their money, because this real estate market will most likely never recover.
The answer is it's very easy. You understand? Okay? So you have this absurd situation where Iran is a mountain fortress where it can hide its offensive capacity, and the GCC, it's just this desert, this flat desert, and it is exposed to attack, and there's
I mean, this is the mismatch of the century. Okay, like they really didn't have a fucking clue what they were getting themselves into. I mean, they try to be neutral, okay, but Iran can't fire fucking missiles at America, okay, so it's going to fucking throw missiles at American military bases. It's just a natural reaction, and then it's going to fucking attack the people who allowed them to build military bases in that region, right? So, you might be neutral, but you allowed your enemy, the enemy of Iran being America, to build a base right outside this fucking border across the channel. Okay. So, so they should not be surprised. This is the price they paid for choosing the alliances that they did.
Nothing it can do about it. Okay? So at any point in this war, the Iranians can choose to just destroy the entire GCC.
I mean, imagine that. Imagine if they just absolutely decimate it. I hope not. I mean, my heart goes out to those people who are suffering out there at the moment. But and I really hope that they are able to escape to get to safety. But like, imagine if those countries like you never hear from that again. Okay, all this, all this great PR that Dubai had, right? Like the Bahrain Formula One races, okay, the Abu Dhabi Formula One race, okay, the Dubai Formula One race, okay, that's all cancelled. Right, there's no more Formula One in that region anymore, right? All these jobs that they created specifically for that place, okay, like now going forward, you're not going to hear of that region anymore, okay? Like if somebody ever tells you that, oh, I'm going to go Abu Dhabi for holidays, like what, to see what, the rubble? Like it is fucked, it is over, okay? Those people aren't ever going to recover, okay? Like nobody wants to be. Also, you don't want to be fucking, it's not a flex to go live in a place that's just been decimated by war, right? It's not flex, okay? So my heart goes out to those people. I really hope that they recover, but it is over for those countries.
And there's nothing that anyone can do about it.
You have to also think that one of the reasons why these countries will not go back is not because of the actual people being too afraid to live there, right? It's also multinational companies, right? They're going to be like, well, I'm not going to set up offices in Dubai, right? In case, those offices get decimated in another war. If Iran isn't under control, okay, this is the only way Dubai can survive. The Americans have to get Iran under control, okay? They have to bring it into the fold, okay? They have to fucking get their people in there, get their puppets in there to run Iran, or how they want to see it being run. Okay. And that is the only way that you can secure the whole region. Okay. As long as Iran is running by its own accord, with its own independence, by its own rules, they are going to be a threat all the time now. Okay. So, this is the shift. This is the, and if Iran wants to hold on to its independence, its freedom, and its autonomy, it's going to have to strike a deal with Russia and China. And if Russia and China, say, okay, we're going to protect you, but you have to do as we say as well, right? And they're like, okay, yeah, as long as we, don't have to follow the fucking whatever the Americans are doing, It's going to be a real problem. It's going to be interesting to see what is happening. It's going to be a big dilemma going forward. But this is why we are, I'm here, sending out a message to the people. I'm here collecting people. I'm looking for 100 people to join me to, fight the world, fight these people who are in control of these countries. Okay. If it was us in control instead of Trump, instead of the, Netanyahu, we would have already struck up a deal with Iran. We would already secured the region. We wouldn't even gone to war with Iran. Okay. We would have said, right, we would have come to terms, peaceful terms. Okay. Because these people are compromised. Okay, they are just going for personal glory. They do not think about the rest of the world and the effects that it can have. Whereas good people like us, you're a good person watching this, right? Okay, but your low self-esteem, your self-doubt is not allowing you to become the king of the world. Okay, and you might think, oh, that's an arrogant statement to make. Okay, right? Well, me and the 100 kings that I've got, we are building a new alliance. We are building systems to put us in charge of the world. Okay, and we have the real ambition to be the final rulers of the world, so that shit like this does not happen. Okay, we are bringing about a new and better world for the people, because that is what the world deserves. But to do that, you need to get rid of the self-doubt that you have that is holding you back, and that is what I help my clients with. I remove self-doubt. I remove any issues that they got that is holding them back from becoming the person that they were meant to be, from becoming a total king of the earth. But that is it for today. That was a great video. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.